I also recently launched this past September a brand new podcast called Virginia Outdoor Adventures. And each episode I have on a guest that covers a wide range of topics relating to outdoor recreation in Virginia. But in addition to talking about locations and things to do in Virginia, we also like to highlight a lot of small local businesses, but we also look for the human interest stories that talk about ways that people connect with the outdoors. The podcast just recently became Apple Podcasts top 100 podcast in the places and travel category. So if you haven't checked it out, yes, please do so. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, any place that you get your podcasts. So I've been invited here today to talk about Virginia State Parks Trail Quest. So if you're not already familiar with the Trail Quest program, it was started in 2010, and the purpose of it was to encourage people to visit state parks outside of their local area. And so I got started in 2015. At that time, I was participating in Sorensen's Political Leaders Program. And so I was traveling around the state every month, and I would pass signs for Virginia state parks. And if I had time, I would stop in just to check them out. And what I found was that we had these beautiful parks that had all different sorts of landscapes and different regions of the state, and there were wonderful amenities, fantastic staff, and I just thought to myself, why not make it a bucket list item to try to visit every Virginia state park? And so I went online and discovered that there actually is a program that will help you keep track of that. So you go to the Virginia State Parks website and you just type in Google or just search for Trail Quest, and then you will enter your information and you can log each park that you visit as you visit. And the idea is not just to visit, but to also spend some time doing an activity in the park. And so I did that for 5 years because unlike some people who will just pop into a park or visit many parks in one day, I wanted to make sure that I got the full experience. And so I like to try to spend as much time as I can in every park. Currently, there's over 7,100 participants registered for Trail Quest, but only 132 people have actually completed it over the last 10 years. I finished up this past November at Holiday Lake State Park, which is in Appomattox. An absolutely gorgeous park, not a very highly visited park, but there's a beautiful lake there in the middle of the mountains. It borders Appomattox State Forest. It's a great place for camping, kayaking, hiking, and boating. I would love to talk more about all the parks, but I only have a couple of minutes, and so I'm actually going to close up. But before I do, there are 2 parks that I wanted to mention. And if you haven't already heard the news, tonight in the night sky, if you get a chance, you're going to want to make sure that you get outside and look up, because Saturn and Jupiter are going to be aligned in the sky closer than they have been in, I think, several hundred years. And so there are 2 Virginia state parks that are designated International Dark Sky Parks, and that's James River and Stanton River State Park. But you don't have to go to those 2 parks to be able to see the sky. I'll be out at Sky Meadows tonight because that's another really great location. So if anybody's interested in joining me, you certainly can. Thank you, David.
Great, thank you very much. And I think it's once every 800 years, so it definitely is something you want to take advantage of tonight. And I know Sky Meadow is just a perfect place for that. I think it doesn't need to be said, we would love to have you come back and describe a little bit more about your adventures and your podcast. So we'll definitely put you on our list for a speaker for one of our future meetings. Next up, we got Charles Merritt. We got Charles on the line.
I am here, present and accounted for.
He is in our category of always be prepared. And so he's going to talk about Buddy and outdoor insurance products.
Great. Hey, everyone. How's the slideshow coming through?
Perfect.
Great. All right. So I'm Charles Merritt. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Buddy. We're a Richmond, Virginia-based insurance technology startup. And we decided that we were going to focus on creating on-demand accident insurance for active lives. Our team is made up of people who are mountain bikers, whitewater paddlers, climbers, you name it. Somebody on the team is into it. We've had folks in the last year run ultra marathons out in Colorado. So it's quite the crew, and we love being part of the outdoor community. And we're bringing our professional experience in technology and in insurance to bear to help protect people who we spend our time with, because our mission is to help people fearlessly lead active outdoor lives. So really quickly, how we do that is by using our technology to put on-demand accident insurance, which is a product that we've actually created, in line. So you see on the left here, we can integrate it where people are signing up for races, events, registrations. We also power in the middle our e-commerce site, and it takes just about 90 seconds to get somebody covered. And then finally, we've created a chat engine that allows for us to automate a lot of the servicing components of the product through channels that people are already using, like Facebook Messenger and iOS messages. So our customers love us. They give us great feedback. Noah is a big mountain biker. He feels more free to send it. Dave is an ultra marathoner and desert triathlete. He loves to be able to run faster going downhill. These are two customers who have not even had to file a claim. So they feel better just knowing that we're there to get their back. One of the things that we really wanted to make sure we did was to design our products like our favorite outdoor gear to be fast and light. So you can get covered for as little as a day or as much as a year, and you get paid directly based on how severely you might be injured. So let's see, skip here. So in version 1, we launched at the beginning, into 2018. We filed in 8 states and we got approved in 7. So we were able to test out some product market fit. We heard from a lot of distribution channels that they wanted us to be nationwide. So we formed some new partnerships on the risk side. And at the beginning of 2020, we started a national filing process with a bunch of with states across the country. And we also had distribution partners lined up to integrate for all the races, all the events they were going to hold in 2020, and we were ready to go. But as we know, that is not how the year played out. Races were canceled, destinations were closed. I myself was refunded lots of registration fees. So we got to work and we said, let's go. We need to do this filing anyway. So we now have filed in all 50 states plus DC. We've been approved in 38. In this version, we are also still waiting on the Commonwealth of Virginia to tell us it's okay to do business here at home. And I know that we have at least 1 or 2 folks on the call who we've talked to about collaborating once we're able to do that. So where we are today is we're looking forward for the reopening that we expect to happen in 21 and 22. We're using our technology now to form partnerships with different registration and booking companies so that we can help outdoor enthusiasts be a little bit more fearless when they're out there. So that's a quick overview on Buddy. Again, I'm Charles Merritt, and it's been a pleasure to talk to you all. Thanks very much.
Great. Thank you, Charles. Just out of curiosity, what do you think your timeline is for getting approved in Virginia?
Sure. So we filed Virginia in our first batch, and we experienced the same thing in both versions of the product that we filed, which is Virginia just takes a long time. And I think there's some folks here who may also work in and around the SEC committees. We do not get a deadline or an estimated date. You send it in and you get questions back from the reviewers, you get objections, updates that you have to make, but they never tell you it's going to be done by a certain day. So we filed the first version of the product at the end of 2018. That version, that filing is still with the Commonwealth and has still not been approved in 2020. We just moved on and filed a second version. So it's possible that it could be a couple years still before we can do business in our home state, which doesn't save on the airfare for us.
Very good. I see a couple faces and people taking notes and nodding some heads. So anyways, but thank you very much. Really appreciate you coming and joining us today, and hopefully that approval process will move along quickly.
Absolutely.
Next we have,
we'll report back.
Yeah, thank you. Next we have Patrick Kenney. And so Patrick is the new superintendent of Shenandoah National Park. And he is going to tell us about some of the issues out there in Shenandoah. And as I mentioned, relatively new. I think we stole you from Yellowstone, which is fantastic for us. But really, really pleased to have you and looking forward to the discussion.
Good morning, David. Can you hear me okay?
We can.
All right, thank you. So good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure to join you. I am Patrick Kenney. I am the new superintendent of Shenandoah. I am a 30-year veteran of the National Park Service. I had the pleasure of working in many sites around the country. As David mentioned, my last assignment was the deputy superintendent at Yellowstone National Park. I came to the Commonwealth just at the beginning of October, so I'm by no means an expert about Virginia outdoors yet. It's a real pleasure to meet so many people. My focus currently is to getting to know the park, the staff, and obviously the partners, including the Outdoor Alliance and the caucus here. So thank you very much for letting me join. I think what's interesting about 2020, well, it's really interesting to be moving during a pandemic. I'll just put it that way, trying to get settled after a transition across country. But what's been interesting to watch in the National Park Service is we were already experiencing a bit of a trend in the big natural area parks, especially of an upward trend in visitation starting back in 2015. You know, as we moved into 2020 and we moved into a pandemic, it was we were unsure of what to anticipate. You know, there was a lot of, back in March when things started to ramp up with people getting sick, we were unsure of what we would expect to see. What we did see was people finding the outdoors again. They felt safe. And Shenandoah followed that pattern. March in Shenandoah was extremely high visitation. Some of our numbers are showing entrance fees greater than 100%, or entrances greater than 100% of previous years for the month of March. Then what was interesting is because we were learning about the virus, some decisions were made to close the park while we figured out mitigation strategies and tried to understand what was going on. The park was closed for 6 weeks, basically in April and into May. It reopened before Memorial Day. Year to date, Shenandoah National Park is seeing a 12% increase in 2020, and that includes the 6-week shutdown, as well as does not include the month of December. So we're on par to set records in Shenandoah National Park. When we look at October, you know, that is the peak month in visitation in Shenandoah for fall color. Just the month of October, we saw a 52% increase in visitation over 2019 levels. So that's been a real challenge to the National Park Service to try to manage that. Our staffing levels were down because of COVID as well. We couldn't hire as many people for various reasons. It was difficult to do that. But overall, the park has performed quite well, and we've managed through the pandemic and tried to provide for visitor enjoyment as well. I think what's interesting anecdotally, and this is something that I think will come out over time, is we are exposing national parks to a new audience. I believe that people that are coming out of urban areas like the Northern Virginia, DC complex are coming to parks like Shenandoah that may have never been to a park before. This is an anecdotal, just based on staff input. We were seeing this in Yellowstone as well. You know, you think about it, tourism overall, a lot of choices were closed, places like Disney, cruise ships, resorts, and national parks reopened. A lot of us reopened to the public. And so we're exposing national parks to a new audience, which is a great thing. We're seeing greater diversity in our audiences. So those are all good things. There are challenges with increasing visitation, and those are things that we're going to have to wrestle with. Just basic things like keeping up with sanitation can be a challenge with that many more people in a park. You know, it strains our emergency services staff at times. You all may have seen the weekend, the reports of the weekend back in October, where we had 2 rescues on Old Rag, where we overnighted emergency services staff with a visitor on a Friday night and a Saturday night. That's put strain on our staffs. We backed up traffic into Front Royal and on 211, trying to manage the incoming traffic. So those are challenges that we'll face as an agency as we move forward, if this trend continues. Again, though, I think the beauty that we're seeing, one of the benefits of the pandemic, is the exposure of new people to the outdoors, and we're seeing new audiences coming to parks. So that's a real positive that could come out of something that's been so tough on this country. There's a lot of, but then there's other challenges as well. We're seeing interactions with bears increasing. So I think that overall we're trying to wrestle through some challenges in Shenandoah National Park based on this increasing visitation, but we're also trying to find the positives in it. We made some adaptations in a lot of our programming. We typically host a number of school kids from the state of Virginia. I'm sorry, the Commonwealth of Virginia. I have to get used to that. We exposed 3,000 kids in the month of November through virtual field trips. Our staff pivoted and set up a green screen studio in one of our offices, and they reached out and were able to do virtual trips. What's interesting about this is we're exposing kids to the outdoors, although virtually, that weren't coming to the park previously. And that's another positive. Now, the next step is to grow that program to a program where those kids actually get to be outdoors and experience firsthand this great park and time with a ranger. I'll end there. I really look forward to the partnership through the caucus. If anybody wants to sit down and talk, I'm welcome. I would welcome the opportunity to learn more about Virginia and what's going on in the outdoor community. Thank you, David.
Great. Thank you very much, Patrick. And I know we also want to definitely have you back to give us an update as you get familiar and with the park and be able to plot a great course and also a great save on Commonwealth versus state. I know that everybody here was just about to go ahead and jump on you. So anyways, thank you. Our next speakers are Anthony and Peter Krebs, our 2 hosts with Piedmont Environmental Council, and they're going to talk about proposals to extend the Capitol Trail, as well as an update on the Virginia Trails Alliance. So thank you all very, very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David, for having us. And thank you everyone that are here. We have around 60 people on this call, which is an awesome number. And it's 8 a.m. and on a Monday. So thank you all so much for being here. So my name is Kat Anthony. I kind of have two hats. One is I'm the president of the Virginia Trails Alliance, which is a coalition of trail organizations who are advocating for trails, sharing resources and supporting one another. We're kind of new. I think we started around 2 years ago. And we've done a few things. We've written some white papers through the Virginia Conservation Network, and we're advocating for trails at the state level. And really, I see us supporting one another to get more trails built, to make sure they're maintained, make sure they're doing their best. So if anyone's interested in joining us and getting updates, my email is cat@virginiacapitaltrail.org. Then my other hat is I am the executive director of the Virginia Capitol Trail Foundation, which we are the unified voice of the Capitol Trail, and we're here to protect, enhance, and promote the Capitol Trail. As many of you've heard, COVID-19, we've seen a huge uptick of users on the Capitol Trail. Probably the biggest uptick we've seen is as high as 300% increase on the Capitol Trail, which is awesome to see. It's going to be a record year for us. So in the past, we had really never hit 1 million trail counts, and we're well over 1 million trail counts. So we've seen everyone from families on the trail to new users. We've had something called a visitor center on the Capitol Trail, and people have come up to me and said, I bought a bike in March and now I'm using the trail. And I think this momentum is just going to continue. And besides making sure the trail is awesome, our goal is to work on expanding the Capitol Trail, a couple ways going eastward. We want it to go all the way to Fort Monroe through the Birthplace of America Trail. We also want to see it go also to the Virginia's oceanfront as well, going past Surrey. So those are two 46-mile trails. We also want to see the expansion of the trail going westward. And so all of these projects need continued funding, including, dedicated funding. And so I'm going to have Peter speak about the westward expansion.
Thanks, Kat. So what Kat was saying about the increase in trail usership has definitely happened here in Charlottesville as well. One of our local trails had our trail counters showed over 300%, closer to 400% increase actually. At PC, we're working to connect people with nature and communities to everyday access to the outdoors. And we're extremely excited to be working with the Capitol Trail, the Rivanna Trails Foundation, and a coalition of advocates, planners, and enthusiasts to explore expanding the Capitol Trail from Richmond to the Blue Ridge and beyond. The next steps that we're looking at are to fund a feasibility study that will help us locate an exact route, and also working with the localities to get the concept into their comprehensive plans. And all of this is happening at a great time because people are spending more time outdoors than ever for health, solace, and really to stay connected with one another in new ways. Local leaders are aware of this and they're doing their best. Local parks departments, local transportation offices, et cetera, are working super hard, but they need help from the Commonwealth, both with funding and coordination. And also the nonprofit sector like Kat's organization, mine, and really thousands of advocates. It's super great. And also with the potential for new forms of support from the federal level, I think this is a really great moment to be doing this work. Are there any things that I missed, Kat?
I think the big thing is we want to see a statewide trail system in Virginia like many other states. Shout out to the Appomattox River Trail, Eastern Shore Trail, Shenandoah Trail, Fall Line Trail, Boat Trail. There's tons of trails out there. And
yeah, East Coast Greenway.
East Coast Greenway, the big one, so,
yeah.
We want to make sure all these trails get funded in the future. I think that's about it.
Right. Great. Like we said, short and sweet, and each and every one of these things we could probably talk for an entire hour on. This gives us a fantastic, I guess, broad sweep of what's going on in Virginia. I guess at this point, if that's the end of our formal agenda, and as I mentioned, if there are things that people would be interested in exploring at our future meetings, please do use the chat line to go ahead and put in your ideas. Do want to go ahead and mention really quickly because we do have some legislators and others on the line, and I just want to go ahead and give a shout out to them for getting up at 8 in the morning and being here with us. So we do have Delegate Ronnie Campbell. He's from Fairfield, Virginia. I think that's the Amherst, Augusta, Rockingham part of the Commonwealth. Mark Keem, who's a delegate just to my north, the town of Vienna in central Fairfax County. Betsy Carr from Richmond. Thank you very much, Betsy, for joining us. I think I saw Shelley Simons on the line from the Newport News area. My co-host and great partner in outdoor recreation, Senator Emmett Hanger from the Augusta area. I also think I saw former mayor or former member of the House, David Brickley, if I recognized him. So thank you very much for joining us. We have the governor's, if I'm getting this right, Missy, policy director. Is that right? Close enough? Something like that. She does some really important stuff with the governor, but Missy is one of our founding members to get this thing organized. So she's put a lot of effort into this. Thank you, Missy. And then Nikki Robner, am I allowed to go ahead and introduce you? Are you officially State Corporation Commission now?
No, that's Angela Navarro, I think.
Angela Navarro. Oh, shoot. I completely got it wrong. Well, you do a lovely job yourself, Nikki.
Thank you.
I was doing so great. I tripped at the finish line. I need that insurance that Charles was talking about. Anyways, legislative director is Missy Neff. Yes. All right, well, very good. We do have maybe about 5 minutes, and with much trepidation, and I think Peter will probably kill me. Does anybody have any particular questions that they wanted to ask of our presenters today?
Hey, David, I think
Yeah.
I'm probably online there now. I got a couple comments.
You are, go for it.
Just follow up with great presentations this morning, and it makes us want more. So hopefully we'll get more meetings scheduled up, and hopefully if this COVID subsides, we'll be able to do some activities during 2021 where we actually get out and do the fun stuff. That's a big part of it. On the parks, you were talking about not having enough places to go. That's one of the things that I like to focus on, building out. And of course, we got some projects underway down in Gloucester. We got a park that we've not dedicated. We got 7 bins up in the valley that hasn't been dedicated. We're working on one down in the southwest on Clinch River. And one that I really want to push, which has some problems because it's right on the line with West Virginia, up in Loudoun County. I'm hoping we can, once Clyde Chrisman, our director of DCR, gets all the groundwork done and do some planning, that we can really push that one forward, because I think it'll be a popular park up there adjacent to Harper's Ferry. On the, of course, I've visited all the parks. That's why I'm anxious to build more parks, so I have more places to go. And it's one of the things that I really enjoy about service in the legislature. On the trails, I'm excited about this active trails group and the fact that they're hosting us here this morning with some of that. The up in the valley, of course, you and I were at the table when we negotiated the budget, and I got some language in there to begin the planning process for a Rails to Trail project in the valley, going from Broadway all the way up to Strasburg and maybe over to Front Royal. So I'm anxious to get some volunteer groups aligned with that to help raise some money and kind of push Clyde to do the initial planning so we can get that thing rolling. It goes, actually it touches on 7 bins state park. So I think it'll be a great alliance there. So lots of fun projects going, and I like to spend a lot of time pushing those things in addition to the other nuts and bolts things we do in the legislature.
Right. Thank you, Emmett. Any other?
David, this is
Yep.
my phone.
Sorry,
Can
who
you
was
hear
that?
me okay?
Yeah.
This is James Edmonds. Can you hear me by phone?
Yeah, James. Nice to hear you.
Good morning. So just a couple things. One, I think it's a great opportunity, and I think I've spoken maybe to the group when we were in person last about the opportunity to have a Virginia, to showcase Virginia's outdoor recreation, not just hiking and but hiking, hunting, fishing, skiing, and everything that we offer through a potential television or either blog series that could be done and shared cost by several different state agencies, from DWR to tourism to whomever. And I think it would be a great opportunity for perhaps a further discussion about it later, but it would just be, in light of all the apparent outdoor explosion, I think it would be even a further chance to expose what we have here in Virginia to a lot of people. And I think COVID, one thing COVID has done is it has, I don't know about the rest of Virginia, but Halifax, where real estate was not moving at all, is now exploding. People are moving out of metro areas to be in rural areas. And I think that's why you're seeing so much more use of the trails and so much more use of, and I think that's going to continue even when, we get back together as a society. And so I just thought it would be a good opportunity to perhaps talk about or begin discussion of a way to expose Virginia's opportunities to a lot of other folks. So maybe we could talk about that, put that on the agenda for further meeting.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, James. And I think you're right. With COVID, a lot of the changes are permanent. And I think one of them is the use of technology like this. But I also think that, people have all of a sudden realized that we do have, fantastic outdoor opportunities here in Virginia. And I don't see people backing off of that either. So figuring out how do we take advantage of that, I think is a smart move.
Thank you.
Any other comments from folks, questions? All right, so Missy Neff feels bad about not getting us all Buzz and Ned's barbecue. And so I think that I saw in the chat that she's offered to have Buzz and Ned's as well as local craft brews delivered to each one of us for our next Outdoor Recreation Caucus. There is much celebration on the Zoom screen, so thank you very much, Missy. But in all seriousness, let me just go ahead and wrap it up. You know, we do have fantastic outdoor resources here in Virginia. None of that was by accident. That was because of people like you who have made it happen. We are very, very blessed to have folks who are very committed to outdoor recreation and preserving our natural resources. And so thank you very much for joining us today. And I think, Emmett, if it's okay with you, I think we would probably like to have another virtual version of this. And, you know, based on some of the presentations and some of the feedback we've gotten, we can dive a little bit more into some of the issue areas.
I think that would be great, David. And while you're picking on Missy, I would like to say that maybe she helped us. Somebody helped us because the governor included $5 million additional dollars on trail projects in his introduced budget. Hopefully we can keep that there and expand on it. But I expect she might have had something to do with that.
Very good. All right. Well, there being no further business, everybody, thank you so much. Have a fantastic day and happy holidays.